Hey y'all, I'm Cash the Composer, and today we have a very special video planned where we're going to interview a local expert. She is a ghost tour guide who knows a lot actually about Lavinia Fisher in particular, and she has some personal experience with her ghost apparently. We're meeting with Laura. She's a friend of mine who I met doing the Rocky Horror Picture Show. So let's get going. Before we get to the interview, I'd like to remind you all to go ahead and subscribe to the channel and ring that little bell to be notified with the release of each new video as we go about creating this new musical about my hometown. So go ahead, click that subscribe button, and then we'll get started. We are at Washington Square Park here in downtown CharLeston in the middle of the night because Laura is a nurse, so she just got off work. And this is actually the site of Lavinia Fisher's execution where she was hanged at the gallows.
John and Lavinia Fisher owned an inn 6 miles outside of Charleston, and they named it, quite cleverly, the 6 Mile Inn. Not the sharpest tools in the shed, but they didn't need to be. They also had these 5 deadbeats that like to hang around, the 5 feeder fish. Now, our Market Street was the hub of business back in those days. Everybody came here to buy, sell, trade, and auction. And that was a long haul back in those days. It used to take weeks to get from one state to another. As she spied a traveler starting to approach the inn to take a little respite before he finished his trek to Charleston, she paid very close attention. Now, she couldn't see what was in the wagon, of course, because she always kept it covered to protect it from the elements. So she paid very close attention to the driver. Were his clothes torn and tattered? Were his boots worn, or were they in good shape? She didn't even pay attention to the horse. Was it a good, strong animal, or was it a nag? If you didn't meet her criteria, yeah, we got a room, go inside. But if you passed all of her tests, that's when she'd go to work. She'd just sidle up to him and go, "So where are you from?" "Alabama." "You married? You got any kids?" "No, ma'am, it's just me and my brothers taking care of the family farm." "You got any business associates? A place to stay here in Charleston?" "No, ma'am, I'm just gonna do my business, get a cheap room, and head on home." "Well, why don't you rest a spell here? I'll make you a nice hot meal, give you a warm, soft bed, and I'll even make you a nice cup of tea." Now, honey, that's the last cup of tea he's ever gonna have because she has laced it with oleander. And it goes down nice and smooth. And it don't matter how big a guy you are, it's gonna take you out. But if it takes a little longer than Vinny would like, she has John and the 5 feeder fish make sure you never see another sunrise. Then they'll steal anything you've got, root through your wagon, sell your horse, and you wind up in a ditch, shallow grave, the marsh, whichever was most convenient for them at the time. Well, this goes on for a good 3 years, obviously profitably, or else you wouldn't keep doing it. Well, I have learned that there's a couple of rules about being a criminal. A, do not rob a local. B, do not kill a local. Well, that's what one of these idiot feeder fish did. Robbed a local, stole his coat, and then murdered him. And then, genius, wears the coat into a local bar a couple of months later. And as soon as he set foot in this place, guy comes running up to him and goes, "Where the hell did you get that coat from?" "What coat? What are you talking about?" "It's my brother's coat. He's been missing for months. Where the hell did you get it from?" "And you know, it's your brother's coat." Because, dumbass, it looks like mine. When sleeve is too long, when sleeve is too short, buttons are off kilter, my wife can't sew worth shit. And it's got her name in it. He is out the door. So the brother goes off to the cops, excuse me, constable, and tells them the story. So they round up a posse of about 40 guys because they don't know what they're going to find when they get up there. What they find was little Miss Lavinia waiting for her next mark, and John and the 5 feeder fish are rooting through someone's wagon. Well, all 7 of them are hauled off and brought to what we now call the Old City Jail. See, if it had just been the guys, 2-3 nights tops. Short drop, quick stop, bye-bye, you're gone. But we have a woman in the mix. And this made national headlines, not an easy thing to do in 1820. Charleston to hang woman. And it brought down all the big lawyers. They all wanted to save the poor little woman who got mixed up with the big bad man. Yeah, right. Well, this goes on for 7, 8, 9 months, and she is this close to getting off. And John and the 5 feeder fish are like, no. We just robbed the dead guy. She made him the dead guy. Mr. Police Officer, take us up to the 6 Mile. We want to show you something. Well, what they showed them was about 30 shallow graves. Well, there go the lawyers because they know this woman is swinging no matter what. So here we are. It is hanging day. And it's a good thing we're here in the park because we've got about 25,000 spectators. And only 20,000 people lived in Charleston at the time. And there were the 7 condemned lined up to the left of the gallows. And there's Lavinia in her white wedding gown. And people are saying, "Oh, she's trying to make herself right with God." Yeah, you got another thing coming with that. She's laughing at the cops. "Wait, what the hell are you laughing at, lady?" "Well, y'all know you can't hang me, Right? See, it was on the Charleston law books then and still today. You cannot hang a married woman of childbearing years. So the cops turn around and laugh right back at her and go, yeah, we thought about that. So we're going to take care of John first. Oops, a loophole. So the 5 feeder fish go first. They've been flushed. And now John is swinging in the breeze. And as soon as he's declared dead, she's looking at every man in the crowd going, you marry me, marry me, marry me, marry me. It's your turn. Get the hell up there. Well, this girl was about 5 foot nothing, 100 pounds soaking wet. But it took 3 big burly guys to get her onto the platform because she is biting, scratching, kicking, punching. She is putting up one hell of a fight. But as soon as she gets there, she just stands there. Doesn't move, doesn't speak. Just looks at everyone in the crowd. Do you have any last words? If any of y'all have a message for the devil, tell me now, for I'll be seeing him shortly. With that, she runs off the platform, trips on her dress, and the rope catches her, but doesn't snap her neck. So she has to hang there and slowly choke to death. Now, the newspaper of record at the time was the Mercury. 130 people said the same thing, that as she was hanging there, she didn't kick, she didn't flail, she didn't try to wrench free. She just hung there, and as she slowly died, she still kept looking at everyone in the crowd. Now, if 130 people say the same thing, I tend to believe it, because usually you can't get 3 people to say the same story. So that's the end of our little Miss Lavinia Fisher. Now, she has been seen in the park, but it's pretty rare because she prefers to hang out at the Old City Jail on Magazine Street. If any of y'all ever run into this lady, I use that term loosely, and she offers you some tea, even if it's a nice cup of hot tea on a chilly Charleston evening, just say, no thank you, ma'am, not thirsty. End of demonstration.
Thank you so much for meeting with me here. I know it's the middle of the night after
middle of the night. My tour hasn't even started yet. My tour starts at 9 o'clock. It goes to 10:30. This is early for me.
Okay, I feel better now.
I don't get to sleep till 2:30 in the morning.
Tell my audience about yourself. Go ahead.
About me?
Yes, about you. Any camera is fine.
Any camera. I want all of the cameras on me. I mean,
These are the 2 best
I am
ones.
an attention whore, first and foremost. I've been doing these tours for 3 years now, but I've known about Lavinia long before I ever started doing the tours. I know. I mean, I learned a couple of things about her. Once I learned, I always thought she got hung at the jail. She didn't. She got hung. The gallows were right over there. So that was news to me. You know, there's not a whole lot. I mean, that's why I do the tours, because I love history, love the paranormal, and here's a shocker, I love to perform. I know, you're shocked. Your hair just fell out. But that's me in a nutshell. I mean, during the day I'm a nurse, so I work both sides of the grave. I keep people alive during the day and I talk about the dead at night. Best of both worlds.
What led you to become a ghost tour guide? How'd you get started in that?
Well, I needed a second job. I wanted something I knew I was going to love, because I was going to be working at night and putting in so many extra hours. I've always known about tours, but in Charleston, you used to have a license. You'd have to get a 400-page book, take a 250-page, really intense, expensive test. You no longer need a license in Charleston, because several years ago, somebody sued the city saying that needing a license to do a tour was an infringement on their First Amendment freedom of speech rights. They won. I didn't need a license, so all I did was just go to Indeed, look up ghost tours, and found Ghost City, put in my application, got a phone call, did an interview on the phone, boom. I started training a little over 3 years ago, and I love it.
Just so that anybody who wants to see the rest of the tour knows, when exactly are you doing these tours?
You go to ghostcitytours.com. I do the 9 p.m. adult tour. You have to be 16 or over to do it. It's the Death and Depravity tour. We do have family-friendly tours. That's Ghosts of Liberty. We also have a haunted pub crawl, which I don't do because I am the queen of Death and Depravity. GhostCityTours.com, Death and Depravity, 9 p.m.
Perfect.
Unless I sneak my granddaughter on.
OBS crashed?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I guess it doesn't like you.
I told you.
I've seen this happen.
Mm-hmm.
I use OBS
Okay,
at home.
you want to move that, the one then, or
Am I
try
shocked?
that again?
No.
When did it crash?
Just now.
Okay.
I was watching
Well,
it.
just
But I don't think it saved anything.
well, hopefully it did.
Put this down.
Would you like to do this someplace outside this park so this shit will work? I'm not surprised at all. She's probably really pissed at me. She's like,
It's muted right now.
she's probably, what the hell is this bitch doing here? It's too early. Tough shit, Lavinia. Get over yourself.
You know what? It's fine. We'll figure it out. I'm going to start OBS.
You said that you knew a little bit about Lavinia before
Yep.
you started doing the tours. What was your first exposure to her?
The show, Ghost Adventures.
Really?
Oh yeah, Zach, Nick, and Aaron, and I found out they were going to be the Old City Jail. I'm like, cool, finally they're in Charleston. It's 6 seasons and they're finally coming to Charleston.
Yeah,
So I watched it, and that's how I learned about Lavinia Fisher. I'm like, oh, cool. Because I had been to the jail about 20 years ago, but they didn't even really talk about Lavinia back then. I never even heard of her. So that's how I first got my introduction to Lavinia Fisher. And then, of course, as more and more paranormal shows came on, whether they be documentaries or investigation shows, she started cropping up on all. So I learned a little more, and I'm going, yeah.
You have personal experience with her ghost. Would you mind sharing a few of those stories?
She hates me. There used to be big, thick hedges. They're finally growing back. I'm telling my story. I have had black cats and rats run out of those hedges towards us. If I had a Diet Coke with me, I cannot open it in that spot where I tell the story, because every time I have, it blows out. My final lesson, I opened it, it shot straight up in the air and drenched my right side. I had to buy the same pair of gold earrings 3 times, because last year, in the span of 4 months, twice, the left one disappeared. So I don't wear them anymore. I was maybe 30 seconds into the story. Now it was a hook through like these. They can't fall out. I stand in there and all of a sudden the left one fell right on the ground. Now it was warm, so I couldn't blame it on the collar or the scarf or no, I just had a regular shirt on and it just fell out of my ears. The looks on everyone's faces was priceless. God, I wish I had a camera, because they're like, I said, typical. She has given me amnesia, as you witnessed over there. She does this to me. She gives me amnesia sometimes. I know, this has happened in the middle of a tour where I forget. She with me. She is a, I literally cannot remember this. Lavinia, I swear to God, leave me the alone. I mean, I looked like a jackass. Oh, is this your first day touring? No, trust me, it's not. She has closed up my throat. Only once was it really, really bad. I could barely breathe. I could not speak. I couldn't even drink anything to try and clear up my throat for 5 minutes. I was basically gasping for breath. She's done it to a lesser degree, but that was the worst one. I have seen 7 pictures that I know of this kind. Now, you've seen how I'm very mobile when I speak. But every once in a while, I'm still. And for some strange reason, people take pictures of me in front of this monument. That picture is perfectly crystal clear. I, however, am a blur from top to bottom. Now, I'm a photographer. I know it's not from moving, because you don't have those trails. It's not an autofocus thing, or else everything in the... No, my purse right next to me would be out of focus if it was It's not. Purse is crystal clear. Everything is, I am out of focus. Now, if it was 1 or 2, I'd be like, okay. We're up to 7 now that I know of. Coincidental is out of the picture. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. I've had people ask me, aren't you afraid she might follow you home? Let her.
It's funny you mentioned the rats and everything coming out of the bushes. So the other day, the day after I made the announcement that I'm doing a musical based on Lavinia, we had a huge storm in Charleston, you remember.
Oh, there's a shock.
Yeah, and then I started hearing footsteps in my attic, and turns out it's rats.
Oh, lovely.
So, you said she poisoned her tea with oleander.
Uh-huh.
So, since you're a nurse and you actually understand these things better than I do, what symptoms would show in a person who's been poisoned with oleander?
Oleander, I'm not as familiar with I know arsenic and cyanide all too well. It shuts down your internal organs. It basically would also put them into a deep sleep, so as they're experiencing all this breakdown, it wasn't a pleasant death. No poison is. A lot of misinformation about the deaths, because I know, I hear not our company, other tour companies, I have heard them tell this story and it pisses me off, but I'm not going to butt in. And they would fall asleep in the bed and they would pull the lever and the bed would flip up and they'd slide into the basement. That's bullshit.
That's Sweeney Todd.
No, but it's bullshit. You know why it's bullshit? There are no basements in Charleston. You know why?
That is a good point.
Because down the street by the Circular Congregational Church, this is also part of my tour, we are 11 feet above sea level. That's the high part of Charleston. Hence the reason there are no basements, because you dig down too deep, you hit the water table and bloop, 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 bloop. Like I said, sometimes the poison didn't work too well, or if they were big guys and they had them out. So, it would knock them out. So John and the 5-feeder fish would, put them out of their misery, shall we say.
What would you say Lavinia's relationship with John was like?
Well, I do know they did love each other because they tried to escape from the old city jail together. They tied the sheets together and tried to climb out, but I don't even know if that's 100% true because those jails weren't really meant to escape from, and they had a lot more stringent rules about, oh, you're escaping, pfft, yeah, you're dead. They're not going to catch you and put you back in. So I don't know how, but you know.
But it makes for a romantic story.
Oh, yes, it does. I don't know if they loved each other per se, but they made a hell of a good couple. They never ratted on each other. It's also speculated that John tried to say that she was never involved. There are so many things that we don't know about that time period because Charleston has burnt down so many times. So many records have been lost, birth records, death records, newspaper articles, historical facts. So much has been lost because, you know, Charleston kept burning down.
I just want to say thank you again
You're welcome.
for doing this and for braving the park, even though Lavinia clearly doesn't want you here. Like
I have a couple of theories about why she doesn't like me. First of all, I refer to her as Vinny. Lavinia. You see that, like I said, when I have guys in the tour, I sidle up into them and I make them part of the tour, and they usually love it, so do the women. Because, you know, I'm becoming her. So I don't think she likes that I imitate her. To both of those things that she might not like, the reason why she might hate me, I have one thing to say to her. Bitch, you're dead, get over your neuroses. You should be happy that I'm keeping you alive.
You are perpetuating her memory, and maybe not in a way she wants, but
Oh, well.
You're giving her a voice.
Charleston is replete people with hauntings. People always ask me on my tour, what's the most haunted place in Charleston? Charleston. We're not as bad as New Orleans, but you know.
I do want to tell you one thing just to get your reaction. The audience isn't going to know what I'm telling you.
Okay. That was a stupid thing to do. Oh, even I'd be like, yeah, I'm not even that stupid. Considering my reputation with her and experiences, yeah, no.
All right. Well, I think that's a wrap. We can hit stop on that before it. I hope y'all enjoyed that interview with Laura. I know I certainly did. She is a riot, right? So I'm on my way home, and while I'm driving, you guys should go check out the other videos on my channel, such as the video I released 2 weeks ago, where I announced Lavinia Fisher as the subject of my next musical, and I had a couple of friends perform a little mini reenactment of the story that you heard Laura tell today. I hope to see you guys in another 2 weeks when I release yet another video. That one, whew, boy, it's another on-location special, and it's gonna be a doozy. See y'all then. Bye-bye.